Welcome to The Green Light. I'm your host, Shayla Niece, and I'm so grateful you're listening to my show. On today's episode, I have my good sis Neriah, a media personality and brand strategist that I've known since our college days and time spent at our school's radio station. I've seen how hard she's hustled and worked her way to success. It is no surprise witnessing her beautiful rise with what she's doing now. Neriah is dropping a lot of knowledge for those seeking careers in the radio industry or needing help perfecting the essential skills to land that perfect job in media. So let's get into it. I'm super excited that you are joining The Green Light with Shayla Niece because I feel like as soon as we met in school, like it was like an instant friendship when we was at the University of West Georgia, and I wanted to know like what made you get into the radio station there.
Yeah, so first things first, I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you.
A long time coming, but I finally got my schedule together. And what interested me in joining the radio station was the fact that I was just like obsessed with radio. Like ever since I was little, I would listen to the radio. I'm like, I don't know what that is that they're doing, but I want to do that. Like the fact that they can connect with anyone and not even see their faces. Like I thought Miss Rashawn Ali was my auntie. Right. And I've never met her before, so being able to connect with people in that way, I've always wanted to do. And then like looking at the events that people in radio got to do. And then also I think as a little kid, everybody wanted to be like famous. And so that was like my thing. Cause I want to not really end my career, but I want to eventually go into daytime television. Right. But I knew like my way in would be radio if I had to map out how my career would go. So that's what made me get started with the Wolf Internet Radio. And then if you kind of watch the shows that I developed, I would kind of make them like segments and stuff. So as close to talk show from what I knew as possible to kind of get me there.
Yes, so it's like your segments and like just the segues and the type of topics you wanted to talk about. Yeah, you were definitely ahead of the lead for sure. And I was always like inspired and admired your work ethic because you were working nonstop. Because like I was on the more so the social media side, but you were working the boards, and I was always intimidated of the boards. That's why I really couldn't get into like the radio part of it. But you just like, how did you have like the confidence to just do it? Like, were you afraid of ever messing up working the boards?
So with the boards, they are very intimidating regardless of where you go. Like even walking into iHeart, they were intimidating. But what I did was, okay, what are the buttons that let me do what I need to do? And then I just avoid everything else. And like, when I have extra time, I would get with like Sean or Michael and think, okay, so what do these other things do? But primarily just going there with, okay, so these are what I need to get my job done. And we just going to focus on those.
Exactly. Right. So once you graduated from college, did you immediately get into the radio industry, or you had non-industry jobs before you got your start in radio?
So it was a blessing from God, to be honest. I was doing interviews, but they weren't in radio as much as I wanted them to be. And then literally the week of graduation, Chris Adamson, who was an alumni of West Georgia, reached out and was like, hey, we're looking for people to join our promo team. And Stephanie had hooked me up with the interview because she got the job a month before me. And it was like we were looking for 2 more people. And so I applied, and then Mitchell applied. And literally the day before graduation, like I started my first day, which was Jingle Ball. Right. So it was literally a blessing from God because literally before that Tuesday, graduation was Saturday, so the Tuesday before was when I got the phone call that I got the job and did the interview. And I remember just like crying because I'm like, thank God, like I didn't think I was gonna have a job, and I didn't know what it was gonna look like me, and but yeah, it was literally a blessing from God and nothing else. That I was able to start there. It wasn't the most glorious position, no, but I didn't care. I had my foot in the door. That's what I needed.
Exactly. And so when you first got your start, what were some of the skills that you picked up from your college experience that helped you transition into like the real world?
Honestly, in the way that they trained us at the radio station, everything. So like
Everything.
because I was a tech, so doing remotes, we had experience doing that. Like I put up a tent before. Like I knew the things that we needed, to do those live remotes. Like I already had the bandwidth to stand on my feet for 2 to 4 hours, right? And then
Right.
people or whatever. So literally everything that we learned at the radio
Mhm.
station was the same thing I had to use when I walked into the doors at iHeart. It was just, of course, a little more intensified because we're essentially the first interaction that the community has with a company like iHeart. So it's a little more buttoned up. You have to be, of course. Um, and remembering that people are always watching you, that whole thing. But literally everything we learned, I
Mhm.
brought to the radio station when I joined iHeart.
That's amazing. Do you have like any fond memories of whether you interacted with a celebrity or just a person from your staff, or just a fun memory from your time?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not gonna lie. When I joined my first year at the radio station, it was lit. Okay, because
Ooh.
it was pre-COVID, and
Mhm.
coming in, shout out to Miranda Man. He was my mentor, and so I joined, and I immediately got up under DJ Scream and the Hood Rich Radio family. Right when it came to the beat,
Mhm.
and so I mean, every week I was meeting a new celebrity. But my favorite one, it's two of my favorites actually. I'm a huge fan of Dave East.
Okay.
And so they, during the interview, like they mentioned that I liked him or whatever. And he looks over at me during the interview. And he's like, shout out to Neriah, says like my full name and stuff.
What?
Gave me a hug and took pictures. So that was another one. And then I used to be a huge fan of Mom's Behavior. And the week before my
Mm.
birthday, one of the members came up. And so I got to meet him and we took a picture. And it was
Oh
just
my.
nostalgic.
You're
Um,
living my dream, like every girl's dream, wanted to be a mindless behavior girl. Oh my gosh.
I met everybody, the management, Keisha, and all of them. So it was super cool because it was so nostalgic.
Mhm.
And then I guess from just a listener experience standpoint, um, it had to be Super Bowl 2019 when the Super Bowl was here in Atlanta. And that was
Yeah.
the first time that I was able to, one, get on the mic and interact with literally all of Atlanta that came through our activation. We were in Centennial Olympic Park, so we seen, I think, at least 20,000 people over that weekend. And so that was really cool to experience. And like I said, get on the mic in front of all of those people. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to say. And so that was cool. Was I sick after? Absolutely. But
Oh
that was
yeah.
probably my first fond memory. That was like the funnest.
I feel like just with the radio industry in general, you really have to have like a big personality because you are constantly in the faces of different people, and it seems like you have to like network just as much as learning the skill sets needed. Can you talk about kind of like if you ever felt burnout from like the events or gigs or concerts you had to do like on the job, or if it was more of a stress-free situation? Like what was your experience like in that type of like mental health, right?
Girl, no, burnout galore, especially during the summer because we did so many events back to back concerts, State Farm Arena, outside in the heat. Mind
Mm.
you, especially like the circle of friends that I walked into there with that first summer, like we were going to networking events too. So like we would get off, bird bath in the bathroom, change clothes, and go to a networking event because it's just like you had to be in those spaces. Those are people that you wanted to network with, like getting your face card out there and making sure that's good, getting in with the right people. And so
Right.
there were definitely times it was burnout, times where from a tech role, I'm like, this is too much to be doing for a concert. From a brand manager perspective, that was a beautifully executed activation, right?
Right.
So yeah, there are plenty of times that they were burned out, but of course, I'm a visionary and I've always been a dreamer. So if it's like, okay, it gets me closer to my dreams, what will I complain in the process? Absolutely, but I'm going to get it done because if it gets me to my end goal, it's worth it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And speaking of like being a visionary, which you are, because you just can do it all. Like you're like social media guru, brand strategist, you do the radio, like you really can do like all forms of media, and it's always seemed like it's been like a seamless transition. Just seeing, as a friend and assist, but like, just really your rise on social media, how you're able to really carry all of your passions and it doesn't seem like you're doing too much. It kind of just makes sense that you are doing all that you're doing. And I wanted to know, like, what made you transition to now being a brand manager? Like, was that always like the focus of like just always elevating?
So when I was in college, I mapped out what I wanted my career to look like, and so when I wanted it to be working in media, we all know stepping into radio at first, especially as a tech, you're not making money for real, right? So I was like, okay, on the
Mm-hmm.
back end, my marketing, brand management, like I want that to be my money, partnering with different companies, this, and that. And so pandemic hits. We're not outside anymore. Even like
Mm-hmm.
I was furloughed from iHeart for about 3-4 months, and
Mm-hmm.
even coming back and fully into the programming space, it still wasn't the same. Like even to this day, events aren't as frequent as they used to be pre-COVID. That's
Right.
just what it is. People are consuming media differently, and so I had to pivot, and I launched my agency where I literally partner with different businesses and do their brand strategy and manage their social media and all of these kinds of things. And I realized like I had a liking for it more than a little bit. And so yeah, I'm still in that media world, but and I think it's something that I still struggle with now, finding a duality between the two. So like
Mm-hmm.
now, brand manager by day, but then I'm still, working and programming at iHeart at night, right? With
Mm-hmm.
our nighttime show, I still, do my shifts on the beat. I still have my podcast and all that kind of stuff. So it's not that I'm done with media, but right now, by the day, brand management is taking the forefront. But I think this is the first time since I've started where I am dually in both worlds like I wanted to
Right.
be. And so now for me, it's like, okay, how can I 10x this to where I'm making even more money, on more impact on the brand management and marketing side of things, and on the media side? Okay, because I kind of got into a comfort a little bit, gotten into my shell. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
how can I get back in it and 10x my media career at the same time? And I feel like now is a great time because I'm finally in the worlds where they're aligning kind of at the same time, and it's really just like God's waiting on me, like, okay, you need to make it work, take action. So that's where I'm
Absolutely. How are you able to balance work and personal life? Like, do you have that yet, or you're still like in this grind mode?
I wish I had that. No,
Okay.
so I'm also learning work life balance because I mean, since I was in college, all I've done was hustle. So it is different. Not It's different, and I'm trying
Yeah.
to make more time for personal, but it is a work in the making. Like this summer is going to be like my first shot at, okay, my weekends are for more fun, going
Right.
out with my friends, because there was times where I wasn't seeing my friends as much, because I mean
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go to work. So definitely trying to find that balance. I haven't found it yet. And this is now I'm 26, almost 10 years in the making. So some balance has to come at some point, but I'm working
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. Because I was like, I'm in that same boat. As a publicist, I feel like I could never turn off like my creative mind at all. Like, even if I'm just watching a regular interview of my favorite person or listening to something, I always find like, okay, what could they did better? What could they have said better? And it's like, girl, just enjoy like what you
Same way.
see.
Same way. The people, when I watch interviews of like the media people that I'm into, I'm like, I probably would ask something like this, or oh, or like I'm
Right.
watching something, I'm like, dang, I really could see if I can reach out to them as a client because they need help with this, this, and this, like, from a brand management standpoint. So yeah,
Exactly.
and I think it's like when you have that gift, I don't know if it's like a thing where you can kind of turn it off. Maybe it's like, okay, Monday. we're
Exactly.
going to reach out and see if X, Y, and Z. But, child, I ain't no kid, so we're going to work. And my husband ain't here yet. So until then, we work.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't have the soft girl life yet or the
Right.
passenger princess yet.
Exactly.
So well, speaking of like interviewing people, what are your tips for interviewing guests, or what have you learned to do or not to do when you're interviewing guests or prepping for an interview? Do you have any tips you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I will say, and I think I don't know if it's because they don't know or they're trying to compare to the 10-year media personalities who have that gift of gab, right? But I
Right.
think a lot of people don't really research who they're interviewing, and they go off of like the Charlemagnes and the Ebros and try to do, okay, I want to ask questions that are out the box. Let me ask something super offensive or super invasive and intruding, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that people have to kind of get out of that mentality.
Yeah.
Because essentially what you're also can be doing on the front end is you're kind of like almost threatening a relationship or risking a
Mm-hmm.
relationship because you want to get views. And I think that's a thing now. A lot of people, everybody wants to go viral, right?
Right.
Um, and so I think it's thinking about what you say before you say it more, and stop
Mm-hmm.
looking at these people who have that platform and like. And first of all, sit down and think about of what it is you want to be known for in this industry, right? And then kind of
Yeah.
gauge it from there. But if you're wanting to create a Oprah Winfrey platform, but you're asking Ebro and Charlemagne questions, that doesn't align, right? Um,
Right.
or do you want to be an Oprah? Do you want to be a Wendy? Or do you want to be you?
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's some tips I would give is definitely research who it is that you're interviewing with more. And I'm working on it now, working on those and
Mm,
definitely leaving room for people to talk. People are so used to getting their opinions out. It's like the guests that they have on the shows, they overtalk them a lot. In a lot of the
yeah.
podcasts, a lot of the content that I'm watching, and it's like, as an interviewer, you're more so pulling information out of the person you're interviewing. You're getting to know their story and stuff like that. David Shands is a really good podcaster, and he kind of walked through this, not even trick, but kind of like a workflow of how he pulls out information slowly but surely of his guests. Beautiful to watch. So follow David Shands, because when he talked about that art form of how he does it, I was like, oh my God, that is genius.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those would be my tips for the most part.
Okay, now who would you say you mirror your interviewing skills like the best? And I will tell you who I think you kind of like relate to the most.
Okay, I like this question. So somebody who has always motivated me and that I've always kind of tried to mold my craft after in this space, in radio particularly, definitely Angie Martinez. I
Oh
love
my gosh, that's who I was thinking.
her. I
Cause
love
you have such that chill, laid back energy, but you're so welcoming with your guests. And just
her.
like when I've listened to your late night fill in shows, or when you're hosting the late night hours, I was like, it's just so calm, like the quiet storm. Like that's what it is.
Thank you. But yeah, Angie Martinez is definitely who I molded my craft after for sure. And then, of course, in that daytime talk space, of everybody's gonna say Oprah just because she's that girl, and nobody can tell me anything
Yeah.
different. But I want to create like a different legacy for it. Like I feel like there's certain things, like I want to do her philanthropy, of course. I want to do those hard topics, but I also still want to reel it back to the entertaining aspect side of things. But definitely that sheer will and determination that she had. And people got to remember, she is a legend, an icon, and she started at 33. So
Exactly.
you know. But yeah, Angie is definitely who I study a lot, actually.
hmm Do you see yourself like moving towards those type of entertainment cities besides Atlanta, like New York or LA? or for media, or you feel like Atlanta has all the opportunities you've been wanting for so far?
So I feel like, first of all, I would love to move. LA has always been on my mind since I was like 13. I think I just again got into that place where I started to set my foot in here, and it's like, okay, look, I'm starting to build connections here. Like, and one of the things that coming up as a intern and doing the radio tours and all that kind of stuff, everybody's like, you're gonna have to move to a little city. You're gonna have to move to Waterloo, Iowa, and make it work. And so from then, I kind of had a space of wanting to prove them wrong, right? I was
Yeah.
like, no, I don't have to move. Atlanta actually has everything that I would need. I don't have to go to a little city and then come back home, which I
Yeah.
proved so far that I haven't had to. And I've touched the mic in way sooner than a lot of people would have, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I do believe to really, I do believe to kind of get my footing in where I see myself, I do have to make that move to maybe like a LA. I don't know about New York because I'm just not a fan. Too much. It's too fast. It's too busy. You have to pay attention to too much. I just not for me, right? But I
Yeah.
would love to move to LA and really build out. But I want to come back home. So,
Absolutely, especially for your TV dreams as well. I feel like that is the space for it. And when that happens for you, I am going to be cheering you on because it is going to happen. Like the way you are so determined and you have such intentions with everything you do, it's like, yeah, it's always up for you. For sure. But to kind of like wrap up our conversation, I do want to ask, like, what are your favorite genres of music? I know you are really in like the hip hop space with your work, but do you have other favorite genres?
of course. So I love R&B above
Hmm.
really. I love R&B above anything. I love hip hop too. That's just in me. I come from that, like my family, my dad, gospel, of course, because I
Yes.
knew Jesus. And what people don't know about me, I love top 42, but country,
What? Not
listen,
Miss Cowgirl.
listen,
What?
listen. Country really has some hits. Like,
It does.
and I love listening to country music. Luke Combs is that guy, okay? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's really because what it is literally we talk about the same thing, being in love, being heartbroken. They just have different methods to cope, right? They maybe drink or
Right.
use a dog or something, but it's really, I'm a fan of storytelling in any
Yeah.
genre. So, like in hip hop, I don't like the hip hop where they just screaming random stuff. I like the hip hop where the beat is good and they're telling a story, right? Um,
Exactly.
Same thing with R&B. Same thing with country music. Like it's, I don't know. It just does something to me. I don't know.
I feel
But
you. It's that emotion they bring. Yeah.
yeah, and their songs are just so beautiful, like
Mm.
so beautiful. Tim McGraw and what is that man? Tim McGraw, he does a really good job telling the story, and like he'll
Luke
dedicate.
Bryan, is that who you're thinking
Uh
of?
Chris Stapleton.
Stapleton, yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love the way they just tell their stories and they piece it together so beautifully. So yeah, fun fact about your girl.
I
I
did not know that. Okay.
yeah, I post it every now and then on social media, but I kind of
Mm,
keep it to myself because
right.
it's I don't know. I don't know. I just like it, but I know everybody who's in my audience probably ain't gonna feel the same. But when there's some bops, I try to put people on.
Absolutely. You'll definitely have to share your playlist from time to time because like you're a music head, so I would love to know like, okay, what is currently like in your top 10 and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, girl. Of course, Beyonce. Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. We are the number one beehives over here.
Period.
So I have a music playlist that's going to go along with the podcast, and
Mhm.
I'll ask each and every guest to pick two songs that best represent their personality. And so far it's been a hard time for the guests to choose just two songs, but even if it's an album or just an artist you want to highlight, I could still choose from that. So do you have two songs?
Oh, you put me on the spot. Okay, two songs that just represent me. Period, or just like I'm really listening to right now.
You could do either or, like what's really got you going, or just two overall. Yeah.
Okay, so We're gonna do Energy by Beyonce. Is that already on there?
No, it's not.
Energy by Beyonce and ooh, Energy by Beyonce, and then um, I gotta pull out the little ratchet side of me. Put it on the floor from Lotto.
What?
Yes.
You about to do the challenge, the plasma challenge?
I gotta add that in there. I gotta add that South part inside of there. So yeah, Energy, and then put it on the floor.
Absolutely, because we're two Southside girls from Atlanta, and so the way that you have really just grown from our days at the radio station at college to now what you're doing in all forms of entertainment with the brand management and then the media space with the hosting. I'm just so proud of you, Neriah, and I'm
Oh,
just so
thank
happy
you.
that you said yes to coming on the show just to tell a little bit about your story and kind of like to give our listeners like the step by step play of what made you who you are now. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have to give you your flowers too, because one thing about you, I think that has always, I guess you could say, mesmerized me or impressed me is the fact that it could be in a world where everybody is doing stuff because everybody else is doing it, and you have always moved to the beat of your own drum. And when God tells you to go, when you do something, and when you roll something out, it's always so seamless, so effortless. You talking about me at the radio station? I was sitting back impressed by you because I'm like, how does she do? Now, how is she always so consistent? How does she roll? How does she know how to put those things in place? Like I'm up here trying to study you at the radio station because I'm like, how does she do it? And so, and one thing I will say from me watching you, everything that, and I don't even know if you've noticed this, but everything that you used to speak on from a fan perspective or a supporter perspective, you've walked in and you've dealt with those people. Like I remember you talking about Kiki Sheard, Kira Sheard, right?
Yeah.
And now, girl, you could call her right now and she would answer the phone. Like that is crazy to me. Like so I
Oh,
think
thank
for both of
you.
us, we're just proof of speaking it into existence. And I feel like when you
Yeah.
speak into it and God knows your heart with it, He brings
Yes.
it right in front of you with ever having to do what they doing, getting out of your character to get what you want. You can be exactly who you are and get every desire of your heart, and God will give it straight to you. So I want to give you your flowers, Sam.
Thank you, sis. Oh, I was totally not expecting that. Thank you, and I just want to mirror back that same sentiment to you. I love you, and I'm just so happy of what you're doing and how you're elevating. Yes, heart. If you love today's guest and our green light convo, please tell someone, your mama, daddy, cousin, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, about the show, and we're going to look out for the next episode.